All right, welcome back. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone on the Africa Young Voices television and radio. Do not forget to contribute to the program by sending your text messages to our Facebook page. It's AYV News. Now, in our final segment this morning, government last week released 37 APC political prisoners, including Alpha Sharif, as part of the ongoing implementation of the Agreement for National Unity, signed in October 2023. Now, the decision to release Sharif and other political prisoners follow recommendations contained in the tripartite report, which brings out 80 recommendations, which the government and the opposition should implement. Resolution 4, the National Unity Agreement, includes several important terms. Now, these include the release of detainees who are not under investigation, settling overdue payments owed to APC members of parliament and local council leaders, and following up also on recommendations from a tripartite committee that reviewed concerns about the 2023 elections. So this morning, to discuss all of these issues, we have been joined by Sidi, Tunis. Sidi is the National Publicity Secretary of the main opposition All People's Congress Party in Sierra Leone. Good morning and welcome, Sidi.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Indeed. How does indeed the APC view this particular move by the government, the 7 prisoners? You think it's timely?
It is long overdue, actually, if I can put it that way, but we are pretty much appreciative of the fact that we are proceeding or making progress with the implementation of the Agreement for National Unity. I mean, as you rightly stated, what happened is actually in line with the implementation of Resolution 4 of the Agreement for National Unity, which pretty much looked at 3 key areas. One, addressing issues around what we refer to as political detainees. Secondly, looking at cases that we view as politically motivated cases. And then also reintegrating people who may have left their communities for fear of apprehensions or intimidations, or even some of the legal charges that have been brought against them by the government. And we had difficulties implementing that particular resolution, but the government set up a committee, a special committee for the implementation of Resolution 4, comprising of representatives from government, the All People's Congress, and of course the security sector. That committee has been reviewing cases on a case-by-case basis, and then they have come to several determinations that, one, there are people who were in prison that ought to have been released. A couple of months ago, about 13 people were released, 10 from Bombali and 3 from Western area. And then now we have these 37 people who have also been now free of any criminal, implication or criminal charge. And then, of course, we have the case of APC Sharif, who was also released on presidential pardon.
What about the MPs? Have they all received their remunerations?
Yes, they have actually. I was made to understand that has been settled a couple of weeks ago. So yes, that also has been dealt with.
You know, the tripartite recommendations are many, and the one you've been having serious problem with, or serious issue with, is the agreement as to which particular electoral system to use for 2028. The main opposition argues that first past the post, could be the best, or better between the two. Why is that the case, do you feel? A lot of arguments have been brought forward, actually.
Well, first of all, let us understand what Resolution 78 was all about. During the tripartite deliberations, the teams, both the government side and the APC, could not agree on which electoral system to use. So they decided that that should be thrown back to the public through consultation. And that is what Resolution 78 says. So Recommendation 78, says. So the government started consultation process. So they started consulting segments, political parties, civil society, paramount chiefs, and other organizations and institutions. And then in the end, they had a national consultation at the Mintumani Conference Center. So we, as the main opposition, upon consulting with our membership and the general public across the country, you know, based on what the feedback that we got, the people profiled several reasons why they felt we should revert back to the first past the post. One, the fairness in the PR process. What we are using currently is what we call the list system of proportional representation. Political parties present lists to the ECSL in ranking of members of parliament. Now the people are saying that probably that is not fair based on the experience that they've got 2023. And why are they saying this? So you go to parliament not based on your popularity or the number of votes that you get, but you go to parliament based on where you find yourself on the list. So you have, for instance, somebody who got 2,000 votes in a district, and then another person who got 50,000 or 20,000 votes in that same district. The person who got 2,000 votes will end up going to parliament because he was more favored to be placed higher on the list, while the person who got over 20,000 votes did not make it to parliament because he was way down the line on the list. So that the people raised that. Secondly, you have districts with constituencies and wards with no representative at all whatsoever. But then you have other constituencies with 2 or 3 members of parliament. So now the people in those constituencies are saying, we don't even know who our elected officials are. We don't know who to go to, you know. And then also they are saying, when it was first past the post, elected officials were forced to bring developmental projects to our communities. Now, because it is PR, they pay more attention to satisfying their political parties than us, the voters. So these are all the concerns that they raised. And those are the same concerns the paramount chiefs raised. Those are some of the same concerns members of the Interreligious Council raised. So when we went to Bintumani, it was not only the APC that said, oh, we need to go back, councils of paramount chiefs. They said they prefer first past the post. Interreligious Council said based on their findings, they will prefer first past the post. Civil society said the same. You know, so it wasn't only the APC, and the reasons were all the same.
But it seems all indication, it's pointing that the government is looking at a PR system for 2028.
The government is absolutely pushing for PR system. In fact, if you look at or if you listen to the president's address in parliament, you can tell that they even want to take it further. They now want to involve the executive arm of it, you know, but we are raising concerns, Phoebe. And some of these things, these discussions, I always say, when we look at it outside of political lens, then we may begin to understand why some of us raise concern. You take, for example, we are in a country wherein we do not lack laws, Phoebe. We have laws that if we implement those laws properly, we, you know, will have no issue, actually. Now, I hear a lot of people talking about inclusivity. Oh, we need to take it to the executive level so that we can ensure inclusivity in governance. As our laws are now, Phoebe, they do not exclude inclusivity. In as much as winner takes all, but the Constitution also gives the president the sole power and prerogative to hire and fire. He is not limited as to who he hires. If he wants to take 10%, 20% from APC or any other political party, he has that power given to him by the Constitution. through the hire and fire. So I don't see where this exclusivity issue come into play. And what we have to be careful of, I always say this to people, we know the enormous amount of power the executive arm of government holds. Phoebe.
Wouldn't this be good to sort of dilute some of the powers that the executive arm holds, taking it beyond just the president's prerogative to decide who to hire and fire, but extending the PR system to compel the president to say these are the guidelines in terms of appointments?
Phoebe, well, you will argue it that way, but even the laws that compel us, we don't abide by them. How many times do we see the issue of consultation in appointing people, which are clearly spelled out in our laws? How many times do we see that change by government? So these are some of the questions. The issue of sincerity is really lacking. And that is what we need to build first, the basics. Let us obey the basics. I mean, we cannot even agree on what consultation is. Some government comes, they say, okay, to appoint this person, you have to consult with leaders of political parties. We cannot even abide by that. We keep arguing what consultation means. It changes by government. So these are some of the things. So imagine we can put that into the law thinking that that will compel the government. But when that person becomes president, he has the power, you know, that is one aspect of it. And secondly, you are appointed, you belong to a political party. You are appointed to serve in a government with a president belonging to another party. What do you prefer? Your political views, your manifesto, and everything is probably different from what the government and others are pushing, but you'll be compelled. You know, how do we merge that? So before we get to issues of those, if we had, for example, a national plan that everyone will feed into, and then you start to have discussions of that nature. But as it is now, I think it will be very, very dangerous for our democracy to go that way. And that is why some of us think, you know, that is not the way to go.
For ECSL, whichever system the government agrees to run the 2028 elections on, whether the constituency first past the post system or PR, they would require accurate data to plan for this. And so far as it seems, the timelines are now questioned. Statistics alone would need to conduct census, prepare the data, which ECSL would now need to use depending on what system the country chooses to figure out the mathematics of what they're doing. There's a delay with statistics alone, which has its own impacts and consequences on the work of ECSL and the elections for 2028.
And this is where the whole issue of mistrust comes in. Because even with the recommendations in the tripartite report, they all have timelines. And for many, those timelines have elapsed. And we have been raising these concerns. You're absolutely right. Census was supposed to have been conducted 2025. And now that has been postponed. And there is a particular recommendation in the tripartite report speaking to that, as to the time when census report should be used for election purposes. So we are running behind time with some of these things, with a lot of these recommendations, and we honestly believe it is deliberate. And that is why when it comes to the implementation of the recommendations of the report, we say let us not be selective. Many times we see government will speed up in recommending areas that they feel favor them, but then when it comes to implementing other areas, they will start talking about, oh, constitutional issues, the constitution supersedes, the law does not speak to that, and all of those sort. That is why from the onset we said, okay, for this to be even more binding, even though we have committed to fully implement, but let us take the entire report to Parliament, legislate it, so it becomes law. It forms part of our law. So these are some of the things that we are pushing for, because we know that many of the problems that we are facing, especially with our elections management bodies, will be solved with the full implementation of the recommendations of the tripartite report.
Let's talk about the APC. Is your house in order?
Our house is in order, depending on which way you look at it. But our house is in order as far as functionality and things that we ought to do, based on the laws that established us as a political party.
You watched the SLPP convention a while ago, and the main opposition criticized them on several grounds. Wouldn't you be making these same mistakes in your party? Let's say, for instance, representation of female into top executive positions.
Yes. If you look at the way our party is currently, despite the fact that we have a particular organ for women, you look at the makeup, even the current makeup, we have female holding positions, top positions in our party. Our regional chairperson South is a female. Our deputy regional chairperson East is a female. We have them. And some of us have been campaigning. Even when I go on tours in the provinces, I always tell them that we have to have executive positions filled by women at every level, from ward level all the way to national level. We want to have an increased representation of women in our executives, but also we want our executives to be regionally balanced. People have to be represented from every region, so that we have a national face as a political party, because we are a national political party. We cannot have a party that is dominated by one or two regions, no.
The elephant in the room is choosing a flag bearer that will lead you into the 2028 polls. Now, while a lot of people have said that they are tired with the two biggest political parties in Sierra Leone, there are those who believe that we can still make a difference, in development in Sierra Leone, even though a lot of the time these two parties have failed in many regards. Not totally, but in many regards. Now, a lot of your members have come forward. Just the other day, I spoke with Al Hassan also, who's also vying to become, the flag bearer of the party. But at the same time, whilst you're painting these pictures, if you're this unified, there are those who are on the verge of leaving the party. For example, Mohamed Bangura. Is he still a member of the APC? The other time we interviewed him, he was about to cross carpet to another party, saying that he's leaving the party because the ideology is non-aligned at the moment.
The decisions that people make when it comes to politics or when it comes to their political affiliations do not necessarily mean that, the party that they belong to currently, is doing wrong, or, they may have many reasons. Mohamed Bangura is a friend. We are very close. Okay. But I must say that, the APC has nothing absolutely against him. As a matter of fact, you look at Mohamed's history in the APC, you will know how much support and how much love that he has enjoyed. Among all of us, the young people in the APC, I believe he has enjoyed more than every one of us. He's been a minister, he's been an advisor to the president, and now a member of parliament twice. I mean, you cannot enjoy all those privileges and you say the party dislikes you. It doesn't make sense absolutely. But he may have different reasons for leaving. But I can say for sure that the APC is unified. Of course, we may have our internal challenges, but as leadership, our goal is to ensure that whatever processes that we put in place in electing our executives are processes that are fair and transparent, including the election of the presidential candidate. The presidential candidate, by the way, is going to be the leader of the party. So we elect leader, and then that leader eventually becomes the presidential candidate. So the process is the same for the rest of the national executive. You know, it will be fair, it will be transparent, and it will be inclusive.
Is the APC afraid it may lose the 2028 elections?
We are very much confident that we'll win the 2028 elections, just as we have won the other elections.
Even if the PR system is evoked?
That is why we feel that that's why the government is taking the steps that they are taking now, you know, because they know that victory is assured for us 2028. And we also are putting our house in order to ensure that we do not kick that on the curb.
One of the other debates or controversies between the opposition parties and the government has been consultation. Your party insists that the government has not been engaging in consultations with your party. But just on Sunday, Lucien from PPRC said their institution, PPRC, at some point even received a letter from the Office of the President, which they, as an institution, PPRC, distributed to all the political parties, including the APC. Yet we see the APC coming to the public to say no form of consultation was done.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say that. No form of, you know, what we are saying, the laws are clear, for example, when it comes to certain appointments. You understand, Phoebe? Like, let's say the appointment of some public officials, like the ECSL. The laws are clear that the president should consult with all the leaders of registered political parties before such appointments are made. We have never, ever enjoyed such under President Julius Maada Bio. We haven't. That I can say categorically. Yes, when the government wants to push certain things, they will go through the PPRC to invite all political parties, like they did yesterday. The PPRC invited us to a meeting to tell us about government's plan to roll out a PR that will involve the executive. They did that. In some cases, they have called us to inform us of plan and have our views on certain things. But of course, when it comes to consultation, you know, with regards to appointment, that we haven't enjoyed. Those basic things that will build the trust between us and the government are the things that we continue to talk about. Let us build that trust. Let us ensure that, you know, our engagements are transparent and sincere. That way, we are also able to communicate to the public that, oh yes, you know, our engagements are sincere. This, we believe, will be in the best interest of the country and not just a game to have a political advantage over the other political party.
The conversation on whether PR system or first past the post is also on if PR, editing the PR, reducing the threshold. Is the APC in tune with that? Sticking to the PR but making adjustments?
I don't think so. I don't think it will make any difference. You know, a lot of people asking for reduction of thresholds, you know, just pay attention to political parties having opportunities. Ours is on the populace. The focus is on the populace. The reasons that the populace, you know, has profiled is what we are looking at. You know, and I said this, even with the reduction of the threshold, I said this to the other political parties, Fabian. When you look at, if you are somebody that has followed politics in this country for the past couple of years, political parties which were successful to make it to parliament did so because they were capacitated at that time. As it is now, even if you reduce the threshold to 3%, I'll tell you that it will still be only the APC and the SLPP in parliament, because other political parties do not have the capacity, you know, to succeed in even scoring 1%. And I told them this yesterday. So what they should be focusing on is actually building the capacity of their respective political parties. Now, I also hear people say, well, with PR, you know, there will be opportunity for inclusivity or for increase in the representation of women. We can still do that with first past the post, Phoebe.
But it wasn't done when we were on first past the post.
Well, that is because we weren't focusing on that. But now with the passage of the GWE bill, it is now law. First, the argument was, well, then we cannot do affirmative action because we have no law. It will be discriminatory if we do that. But now we have the GWE bill. So we can, yes, introduce the system of having safe seats and reserved seats for women, where we'll have specific areas or specific where only women can contest. And we'll actually sit and determine the number of women that we will want to have in parliament. And we'll make sure we achieve that. And that will not also limit them from contesting in other areas, even outside of the safe seat. So these are all ways that we can introduce. But with the PR, you know, the way that they did the list, some areas we don't even have women. In Falaba, we have no woman representation there for both parties. None. So you see, so these are the things. So even where we are focusing on the increased representation of women, there are better ways we can do wherein women can be represented everywhere in every district and constituencies, rather than just thinking that, oh, if we introduce PR, we can increase the number of representation for women.
One of the things that pisses some Sierra Leoneans off about the APC and the SLPP is how conveniently both parties have thought that the entire country is either APC or SLPP. But the argument is, if you put together the membership of the APC and the SLPP and combine those two and then deduct that from the entire population of Sierra Leone, it still leaves a solid number of people who really don't give two hoots about the APC and the SLPP. But somehow, when both of you decide to get into battle, almost everyone else feels the consequence of that. What we've seen now as well over the last weeks is the APC and the SLPP threatening violence.
Well, we haven't outrightly. We are just responding to, you know, circumstances. You know, we have insisted, and I'll repeat this without hesitation, Phoebe.
While you do, let me remind you, when you say we haven't, for every time a member of the APC goes to an interview and speaks, that individual is not speaking as an individual.
No.
The person is speaking as a representative of the APC. And so whatever that person says can be categorized to say, this is APC's position. You've had some of your members on AYV, 98.1, other stations, threatening violence to respond to SLPP.
Well, if you have an elected official of the SLPP, say, for example, and I quote, oh, we know Namino more na the 5-0 for APC. APC not like Safiai. They like war and are ready for bring the war to them. We have to respond because we have a responsibility. So you're an elected official and your mindset is not to win democratically, but you feel you should be elected because you have the ability to wage war on us, then it means your mindset is to bring war to us. And we have a responsibility to protect our membership and our supporters. And, you know, Phoebe, we have seen what they've gone through. We have seen what they did to us in 2023 and all. And so if they continue bragging about doing the same 2028, we only have a responsibility to prepare ourselves so we can protect ourselves and our membership. You know, so that is exactly why you see also we respond in that manner. Because, I mean, we do not want anything that we, you know, bring violence around our democracy. But if you feel that, oh, because you succeeded in using the security forces and other outlets to levy suffering on our people, and then you bragging about it and you asking that you are going to do it again, we will respond, you know, adequately to ensure that our people are protected and are secure this time. We are not going to let them be harmed like they were in 2023. That we will not tolerate.
How were they harmed in 2023?
Oh, Phoebe, if you go now, I always sleep at night. I pray to God Almighty that I was not in my office on the 25th of June, 2023. It was my birthday. I will never forget that 3 tear gas canisters landed on my back that day. I still will not forget walking outside of the party office building. I felt I was walking into a war zone.
Interestingly,
with a number of
Sidi
police
Tunis,
and military people.
In 2018, the same happened to the SLPP. I recall that Lahai Lawrence Lima, who was publicity secretary, did media rounds talking about the encounter. And fast forward to 2023, APC in opposition, you experienced the same. Who takes responsibility who takes responsibility
Phoebe,
for these instances that happen with main opposition
There has never
parties?
been any instance in this country, I can challenge anyone, including Lahai Lawrence Liman, where security forces, combined forces of the military and the police, have attacked any political party office and killed somebody in that party office. It has never happened in the history of any political dispensation in this country, whether 2018, even during the war. It never happened. This is the first we have had. Yes, I will not argue, fracas or between 2 political party supporters, but having security personnel, combined forces, I know what I saw. The entire Brookfield area was barricaded from St. John to Kiama Road to Convent, all barricaded by military and police personnel on that day, with over 60 tear gas canisters fired into our building. Enclosed environment with people locked in there, choked in there. I've never experienced that, and I'll challenge anyone on that.
Tunis, elections are around the corner. A lot of people feel now in Sierra Leone that politics is about what you can benefit, what you can eat, yourself and your family members, your cronies, and your inner circle. Do you think the APC can make any tangible difference if they are voted in 2028? What assurance can you give the public?
Our records are there to show. I've been in opposition for almost 10 years now. Has anything changed on my life? No, because for me and for many of us, politics is not a career. It is a service to the people of this country. I have a career outside of politics, and that is what keeps me going. Many of us we have lawyers, we have medical doctors, we have other professionals who are about their professional businesses. Our Secretary General is a trained lawyer. He's busy with his chamber at the same time doing the service to the people by working as Secretary General for the party.
But there are some people who tell you the same thing.
Our records are there to show. Just look at the roads. It was very difficult traveling from here to Kailan, traveling from here to Pujon. Now I travel to Pujon, hold meeting there, and then come back. That was made possible by the APC. We took back pipe-borne water to some of these districts. We started rolling out energy into these communities. We improved on the health sector. We improved on, the conditions of service for our working class. All of these things we did targeting the population, targeting the people, and not necessarily, milking out of the people. So our records are there to show, and when the time comes in 2028, we'll roll out our records for the future, and then the populace will have the opportunity to compare that to what they have now and make a choice.
All right, please stay with us. We'll come right back. So we're rounding off now, Sidi Tunis. The public contains a portion of people who are disgusted with the APC and the SLPP. Why should anyone give ears to the APC or think about APC for 2028?
Well, the public just need to go back to where they were before the APC handed power to the SLPP. in 2018. Let them think of the improvement that we made in terms of the public services that we render to them during the 10-year rule of President Ernest Bai Koroma. And let them compare that to where they are now in areas of electricity, health, education, even when it comes to the cost of basic commodities, the foodstuff, petroleum products, and all of that. Let them think. And for the young people particularly, the students, let them think about what they used to pay for tuition, the scholarships we gave, SLG, paying 75% of college tuitions, and also paying 100% tuition for female students offering sciences. All of these things they may not know about because it has been 7 years. Those who are now in university may not know that in fact the APC paid 75% of college tuitions for college students, and they paid 100% tuition for female offering sciences, and they also had SLG that they gave 100% tuition coverage for university students. So these are all things that they enjoyed under the APC that they are not enjoying now. So they need to think about these interventions, and give us a chance in 2028 so that we can, reverse the sufferings that they are experiencing now under the SLPP.
Sidi, Tunis, thank you very much for being a part of Wake Up Sierra Leone this morning. This is where we would like to end today's edition of the program. We'd like to say thanks to all our guests for being a part of the program. Thanks to you, our lovely audience, for tuning in. Thanks to our production team. Thanks to our sponsor, Rokel Commercial Bank, and all the advertisers supporting Wake Up Sierra Leone and AYV Media Empire generally. Have a lovely day. I am Vivian Sweo.
My name is Victor Jones. Keep choosing the AYV. Goodbye.